Hear ye, hear ye. The first court of the Cascadia Mono Poem is now in session. Thank you to Elliott Bay Books for lending credibility to our sordid affair. Elliott Bay will be going home tonight, not too long after 9 o'clock. So if you had that urge to bring some books home and get them signed from some people in the room, soon is the time. Other sponsors besides Elliott Bay Book Company who helped also create awareness of this: the Seattle Office of Arts and Cultural Affairs, For Culture, the Rainier Beach Community Club, La Sala, the Rainier Beach Action Coalition, the Department of Bioregion. And I also want to thank the Cascadia Poetics Lab Board of Directors and volunteers and Administrative Assistant Wiz, Veronica Martinez. That's you. Zach and Savannah on sound and video. Zach Charles, Savannah Bullock. Please welcome the queen of the mono poem, Gabriella Gutiérrez y Muhs.
I don't know how I became a queen, but that's okay. Buenas noches to everybody. So happy that we're all still here, or most of us. We've lost some people. The story about the mono poem. Paul and I were talking one day, and we were initially going to do a mono poem, which is one word, which is a community poem, such as the ones that you described, Brenda Cárdenas. But because we couldn't get everybody in the room before the conference, we decided to do a mono poem, which is 2 words, so that everybody's going to be reading one poem. However, because people have 4 minutes or less, and I'm very tight about that, okay? I'm not going to let people read 20 minutes when they were supposed to read 3 minutes or 4, right? So I'm I'm a real judge on that. And let's respect everybody. So let's have this go smoothly, right? So people can just receive the poetry, not introductions. You're welcome to say, I'm Greg Bem. I'm not Greg Bem. I'm Gabriella Gutiérrez y Muhs. But you're welcome to say your name. That's all you're welcome to say. Okay? Poets have come from all over the United States, and we have poets here from Bulgaria, for example. Yay! We have poets that grew up, were born in other countries. This is a very rich organization, and we take care of it, we baby it, because it's very important part of our essence here in the Northwest. And I hope you are feeling that. I'm so happy to get the opportunity to welcome you all, especially those people who had to fly to get here. I do have to say that you haven't seen all of us, that there's many people in this organization that stand back and let everybody read and show their face. And I always think of Sally right here, who kindly does so much for us. I think of Bhakti. I love Bhakti. I'm in love with Bhakti.
Back off.
And yes, I have tried to back off, but it's really, really hard. So, in order for this to happen, there's some beautiful souls, Teresa. There's some beautiful souls. I love Veronica Martinez and her partner Angel. And they work tirelessly, right? Zach Charles, Greg, all these people that are here for you. So I hope you know that it took a lot to get this done. Okay, if you want to see bios, this is my last announcement, please go to the webpage. We have bios on everybody that's reading posted. I wrote this poem for this event. It's Sensontle, and it's not indoors, it's indoors. Because I was thinking of what are the two very important things. For some people, it was a cart, a red wheelbarrow, right? For me, right now at this moment, it's birds, the sensontle, which means mockingbird, and doors. And so I will read my poem. The mockingbird is very important in Mexican culture. I'm a Chicana because it's a polyglot. It has 400 voices. A bird of 400 songs you are. Eres pájaro de 400 cantos, complicated and gray. Mockingbird you are called. Would you please sing to me? I, tired of pretending I speak with my mouth. If I could imitate like you, birds, voices, animals, tools, machines, I would be perfect on a day like today. I would not be lost, ruminating, lurking in the night, looking for voice. I'm only 5 languages in the world. One is lost every fortnight. Others say in 40 days we lose another language. The gratitude of loss has left us empty but for song, making worms, ants, moths, butterflies into a song is magical, consequential, allegorical. Imprisoned we are, sensontle. You are sensontle in your 400 songs. We can never be a brown thrasher interpreting 2,000. Nor the red-eyed singing thousands more. Our repertoire is human, minimal, encapsulated by our limits. We are the limitations of our time. Let not the parchment drown us in questions, what to say next, what to write next, in the palimpsest for health. Let it all unleash unto ink. Let the transfusion occur. The droplets of our bodies are writing historical notes, inscribed interstices of wooden skin, metal skin, glass doors that are not transparent. Doors hold surprises. They are the lamb's bodies, barrels of hand prints. Fingers abound on their backs. They bring dance floors and laughter. Doors are dining rooms and center tables. Laying down, they are tables with food refreshed, invented, food unknown and remembered, food for cards and tea, for coffee and cookies. They are food and longing. Doors open, close, slam and caress, touch, scratch, smell and dispel. You are going to repeat the next 3 lines after I say them. We are lambs.
We are lambs.
Unleashed we are not.
Unleashed we are not.
Of painful words.
Of painful words.
We are lambs unleashed, we are not of painful words. Our wool will not traverse the doors for open seating. We wrestle, lick, confront doors that open, slide, flap without wind, screenless doors, doors that speak without tongues. A door throws blows, wrestles. You underwater kisses you, rejects you, embraces you. Your past catapults you to the future. Thank you so much.
4 minutes, right? Thank you, Gabriella. To reiterate, part 6 of Spoken River. Elegiac, when I saw the body hollow, I said, hush, what of it? And then the sickly sweet memories of something that could be forgotten. I know the rubric golden in the black of night. They traced the ancient memory, dirt and boundary. It did matter. It did. With Luigi Tozzi. Part 7, the prayer. When I wake, open up the river. When I work, open up the river. When I dream, open up the river. When I block, open up the river. When I breathe, open up the river. When I die, open up the river. 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 Thank you.
These are the first two sections of a longer poem I've been writing for Gilmar Abrego Garcia and the many other Latinx folks who have been sent to Secot or disappeared off the streets of this country. 1. Gilmar, this can be a poem, or un poema, or we don't have to discuss genre at all. We can talk about casa and smart, the tax loophole in that one big bill leaving out transportation, workers, EMTs, and firefighters, and wage theft in assisted living facility. The sound of the snipe's wing beats winnows the gray marshes through which it migrates, and the shadow of our conversation can be a prayer, y la sombra de nuestra charla puede hacer oración. Figuring out how to write this letter to a stranger, a challenge. I'm so goddamn suspicious of myself. I ask who and where, and in the way skin senses the world around it, I am stuck. With the words and languages and things I know, usted es un hombre y nos separa 2,000 millas y más. Esos idiomas y sabiduría y sentimientos de empatía podrían ser los ladrillos con que construimos algo como amistad, pero no si le desaparecen a Eswatini. No hay mucho que le puedo ofrecer más que unas líneas en el altar. Bendición, bendición, prayer, prayer.
Garden of me. I used to think that I could be for everyone. I used to think that there was enough of me to go around, that if I was planted into the ground, then I would grow seeds of life into everyone. Nourishment from my sympathy, sustenance from my company, spreading roots in hopes that my shade could shield the weary. I thought I could be perfect. I thought breaking pieces of me would be okay if it is used to replenish others, feed others. Figments of trees without apples that could kill, and yet still I sometimes forget my own bloom. Yea, though you walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you will fear no evil because of me. That's what I thought that I could be. I thought that I could be a quiet sentinel in the arcane darkness, a harbor amid storms brewing in distant lands. Holding space for the fractured and the fragile, I thought I could watch you sleep, watch your dreams and become them for everyone, perfect for everyone. But this flower only holds so much pollen for bees. This rose can only be for a lover. This dandelion can only grant one wish. And sometimes I feel the weight of the disparity pressing down. The world's chaos spilling into every corner, children caught in the crossfire of distant wars. Voices silenced by policies etched in indifference. When bombs fall like rain and hope seems to fade into ash, it's hard for me to cope when I want to see everyone bloom in the spring. No prairie without green, no tree without leaves, no cocoon that doesn't shatter into something more radiant. My branches, I know, are resilient, able to reach out to her, him, and them to catch before they fall. My roots are deeper than any infestation of despair, any chaos that tries to poison the soil I thrive upon. So when people walk to me, on me, over me, above me, I was happy because they can, because I can give them that. Something to lean on when they are down, something to stump on when they are upset, something to study when they are curious, observe when they are sad. I can be a quiet sanctuary. Though I don't speak, you know I am listening. The nature of my being calms even the most discomposed spirit because I subsist on light, which makes me light, which makes you light. I used to offer all light, but some prefer to stay in the dark, the blinded privilege. And now I know to guard my glow, to protect my roots from the insidious imbalance of the world, from the cruelty that threatened to unravel this garden of me. Because even in a world so fractured, there remains strength in nurturing what little remains, in tending to the broken and the battered, and recognizing that some parts of me must be preserved, but it's never synonymous to ignoring what is. Even when the world demands, I spread myself thin when conflict tears through lands and innocence is lost, and blueprints of cruelty carve scars into the earth. I hold on tight to my roots, for I am the garden amid a landscape of unrest, and I am this garden of me. And I have one more piece, in every color. What color would you be if you could not see? If this world could not see? How would you wish to be painted, drawn, or written? How would we know whom to date? How would we elect whom to kill, steal, and rape without the guilt, without the gift of complexion, of the lessons of history? How would we judge the next person before they speak? Before we give them a chance to give us a chance? How would we decide which stores to enter without a shadow behind us, which neighborhoods our children could visit without color? How would we choose whom to hire? Who's qualified? Who's capable? Would all of you truly survive without it? Because color, after all, is what defines us, or perhaps is what we are defined by. My color does not shape my hair straight or curly. It does not determine whether I am from here nor there. It does not make me stupid, intelligent, or anything in between. Any hue I've ever seen is merely a facet of life, not its essence. To define the moon solely by its color is to diminish its full impact on the world. I'd be damned if I let any of you do that to me. My color does not grant me freedom, nor does it enslave me. It may influence my appearance, how I take care of myself, but it does not define who I am. My color is not a license for prejudice or injustice, and I refuse to be accepted into your group because you believe I don't act like my color. No, thank you. My color is not an excuse for hate, nor for love. It does not determine my worth, nor how you measure my life against other colors. Before color, I am being. Before being, I am human. Before human, I am spirit. In every hue, there is everything. Rainbows, hardships, triumphs, lives, beauty exist in every color. Ugly exists in every color. Potential resides in every shade. To be unseen to color for the sake of our collective well-being is to move forward in life, knowing that what we see is not truly life, but only a fragment of it. What we feel, that is life, and you cannot feel color. So, what color would you be if you could not see? If everyone could not see? It wouldn't matter, because it never should.
I think I'm shorter than she was. She is. I'm writing, my next chapbook is about the women in my life and water. And this is one of the poems I'm working on. How water gets to the tap. You head upstream forever, until there's no stream to see, except your mother standing there, offering herself for one more round of conversation, for whatever you need that she can give, a clear, cold upwelling through rock, the earth, a seep, a trickle that follows invisible and irresistible downhill nudges either there or not, determined by terrain. You are superfluous. Water stops at level. If it can't soak in, it puddles, then pools. And at that pool's tiniest edge, gravity exerts its exact magic. And the journey down continues, turns to rush. Water tumble jumps timber snags and boulders, shoves its way to wherever it must, eating the stream bank ragged. It's easier to learn about water with your feet on the ground than to struggle for a breath when you're caught in the current. Easier to learn about your mother when she's alive than to ask yearning questions after she's died. We often talked late into the night, laughed sometimes about things that did matter if the mood was right. Sometimes we cried. Whiskey helped, just a trickle on ice to trigger the flow. All that time spent on current events and weather, corrections to old stories, family gossip, both sides. Me oversharing in earlier days, my father's earnest honesty at work against her blunt assessments, judgment her specialty, apology not in her nature as it is in mine. How can it be that all these years later, unanswered questions surface downstream, lodge themselves in my mother's empty room?
To be someone. The red string is slipping through my fingers. I smell the pink roses, perfume rolled behind my ears. And the sea is so close I can hear it. I taste the salt. My feet stump in 7/16, uneven to the count, but beating with my heart. The bagpipe is full, the chanter rings, but the ring around my finger is loose. I am missing. And I inhale the cold air. Winter has come, and I'm miles away. My wings are closed, cluttered to my body, too cold to fly, too tired to dance. My spine shivers, and I'm nauseated with the memory. I walk down streets, I fill my eyes, I empty bottles and light the end of yet another cigarette, but the smoke stays within, and I sink deeper. The mud, thick beneath my white shoes, I'll have to wash them again. But I miss the dirt in my grandmother's yard. I miss picking berries, talking on the porch past dusk. I miss birthdays, all to be someone. When I am that someone, can you bury me dressed in red, golden and green threads embroidering my chest? Can you bury me by a stream, where I can grow as a willow and weep for my land?
Stellar sea lion. The empty bay, in its pre-summer stillness, rack-strewn drift logs and wind-scoured sand, no sign of people anywhere. Perhaps that is what drew her in. She swam the whole rim of the bay, threading the invisible current, curling through mild rip and patches of foam, not 6 feet off the beach. Her long gold neck, sleek squarish head, her tawny length undulating like a Loch Ness apparition so close to shore. She swam past the bite of the bay, then out of sight. Awestruck, we watched, lifted from the burden of the news, from our grief and rage at the wreckage of our nation. Later, she returned, not 30 yards from us, lounging near sloping sandstone rocks to stretch and bask. I wandered toward her for a closer look. Watching me, she slid back into the water, so mildly curious, her gold bulk buoyed in the tide, her immense sleekness haloed in clear water. And then she disappeared into the deep, as the angel of the Annunciation must have faded, leaving the air tingling with the news of the miraculous. Thank you.
This poem is called The Homeboy Listens to Big Mama Talk About Donny Hathaway. It is the dissonance of cloud and fire, the soul man's unanswered prayer, red rungs close in broken ground, Staircases invisible in the air, silences reshuffle liars, transitions linger there as specters of unbearable beauty. How haunted the sense, how hard the alchemy of a bluesologist turned to ghost, of a windowless song and a healer lost and marked by his turn to the sky. Negative capability becomes the human seraph on the day he could not fly. Yet listen, boy, the soul claps, them drums. The kunga is the rabbit that outran Massa's gun. The living code of briar patches in cymbal Sunday songs, in work grind tone poems. Language outlasts revolutions if you make it new and human. If our melody cannot carry us to the gates of heaven, it has kept us beyond understanding. To be kept, boy, is to feel love's alchemy. So love him and hear his cries. Weep, child, for soul man's fall, but praise him because he taught you to fly. Thank you.
I'm so glad this microphone is set for Southwest Indigenous height and not Northwest Indigenous height. I'm Nadine Maestas, by the way. And I wrote this poem for this event. And it's one of my La Llorona poems. It's called Mourning the Black River. I heard about a guy who said he saw La Llorona in Renton. Yeah, that's right. Right here in Renton. She was just walking down the street, right down Rainier where the Black River used to run, extinct since 1916, when the settlers built canals, rerouted rivers, made land dry, dropped the water levels in Lake Washington by 9 feet. The asphyxiation of fish stuck in the last puddles of the Black River, trying desperately to survive. Flipping fins and bending bodies, hundreds of salmon shoved in gunny sacks, settlers laughing and joking, claiming solutions to the flooding of Renton, while the Cedar River was redirected and Lake Washington lessened, and the Black River dried up and the wetlands appeared, and roads were paved and called streets. Also, Thomas Mercer's plan to connect the lakes to the Salish Sea for shipping coal and logs, and so the settlers didn't have to carry their boats. Across the land, from lake to lake, all witnessed by her, La Llorona, llorando, llorando, llorando. Thank you.
I'm Maria Molina. This one's called Sink. Press your brow against mine. Feel my breath upon your open mouth. I want to know about your life. In very few words, tell me, what has it been like? Did you get that picket fence when you wanted it? Right when you wanted it? Did it keep your dogs in? Did you paint it in the summertime? Did you get drunk and drive your truck through it? Did you wake up one morning to find coyotes on your lawn, morning glory in your gutters, moldy COVID masks in the driveway? Believe me when I tell you, none of that matters. Hold my hand and feel the landmarks swirl around us. I want to know how you like to be talked to, so tell me and teach me with your hands how you like to be treated. Press your brow against mine. Feel my forehead finally relax, or I'll try it. Wait, let's take our glasses off. The details matter, but we don't have to think about them all the time. You say you never had fences? You say you're sober now? I say, what's the point of a pillowcase anyway? Do you mind that I am made of brick and mortar? Does it bother you when I drink? It doesn't have to be every day or even often. In fact, I like to keep things special, so I try not to wear anything out except traditions handed to me after their expiry or phrases I'm working through. Wait, this would be better if I just stopped talking, though I could talk to you for hours. Hold my hand until it sweats. I know your heart is broken, and I wouldn't have it any other way than to love someone who practices humanity. You cry as you scroll through the grief and tragedy and keep searching for delights anyway. Did you know this whole time our heartbeats are synchronized? Did they not teach you that in school? That when a child burns to death anywhere on our planet, we all fall off the metronome, but when we touch, airs drop like bombs and we sync up again.
Reflections on the Atrocities, with an epigraph by Kolbjorn Vardell. The greater the degree of disgust related to the moral judgment, the less moral it becomes. Tried sprouting organic alfalfa seeds in a mason jar, followed recommended allotments of light and dark, when to rinse and drain and how many times. When good enough is not enough, some seeds will cling to convexities. I want to call them bad seeds, like in the Seed Bible. A faff of alfalfa, ground zeros. There are 3 A's, 2 L's, and 2 F's in alfalfa. What the fuck? 2 owls and 3's. Confused, unwise, flawed. I'll admit some seeds disgust me. I want to kick them to the curb. Wake them up before my own collapse becomes visible to the human eye. I want to hide in false dichotomies that take root easily and last for centuries, e.g. to be or not to be, rather than to be and not to be. Bad seeds or bad seed tenders, and what is the question? In 1677, Antony von Leeuwenhoek dreamed of tiny preformed adult humans curled up inside spermatozoa, and why not? Athena grew up in her father's head, a headache ahead of her time. The father of microbiology had one eye pressed to the lens, while mysteries of conception wriggled his commas. Seed, from the Greek sperma. Did not conceive of myself as a little animal. Autocrats and mercenaries wear the nasty verbs, kill versions of themselves. Inside minutes, another crepuscular lynx leaps from a rock. 2 laughs and a fa-la-la in alfalfa, another year, another war. Headscarves trend on Etsy, babushkas weep in the grain. All seeds germinate in dark soil. Roots grow downward, stems upward. Cotyledons unfold at the first splash of light.
As a boy, I studied literature, but was too lazy to become a Confucian. In my young days, I worked at Zen, but got no dharma worth handing down. Now I've built a grass hut, act as custodian of a Shinto shrine, half a shrine man, half a monk, Ryokan. As a boy, I studied baseball, but read only newspapers. In my young days, I worked at radio. It was halfway through a career till the depth was revealed. Now I study poetry. Catch bullets, I hope, are the singing kind. Half an American and half whatever's after that. There will have been some several causations, but there's not enough gold in all the hills to kintsugi the Union. Each new fracture, each latest mass shooting, each escape to northern Cascadia's another tremor in the 10 that's coming, a cultural 10 on the scale made by Charles Richter. I take my refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, and Cascadia. Worship in the old-growth forests of Seward and Olympic National Parks, and on the trails of Dead Horse Canyon, in the living rocks of Cortez Island beaches and the ferry view of Horseshoe Bay, atop the rocks of Medicine Bowl and in the rapids of Nymph Falls, Scott surmises, named after a random settler fantasy. But we sentient beings, we heterotrophs, we mammal patriots, are all connected settlers in the time being, eating a turkey sandwich on the life raft to enlightenment, praying the worst of Uranus and Gemini passes over our kin, clinging to moments of joy as Robin would with a gull's beak or beak of raven eating a psilocybin gummy. This is all me, the same as I ever was, Michael said. It's still true now, but tastes of puer and goat cheese and tomato croissants, of lamb soup and coconut chocolate. $10 won't get you much in the Anthropocene, but it's enough for the time being.
Hello. This is untitled. Where are the wills and winds of true action? When great jaws close upon each moment, is doing done? Magic hidden by shifting change. Honest love for rainbows, but not one moment touches anything besides every other moment. And the jewels of pulse beating creatures for food and shelter and clocks and distraction. Each moment's enlightenment hides behind false perception that even itself can enlighten to true perception. No, honestly, everything persists simultaneous of not thing and even is fused together. So movement is not movement, existence is not, and gods are small children cashew chewing.
Just one thing maybe that you need to know about this one, that all the plant people that are really intimidating here, by the way, will know more than I. There was this issue of this Naropa magazine, Bombay Gin, and the theme was Strangler Fig, which apparently is a tropical ficus that wraps itself around another plant and strangles it, but in the process makes something very beautiful, like a mosaic. Be a caribou. The past is a parasite, a dwelling made of fingers around your throat. Now, when you speak, it's to yourself. Ruminant that you are, you chew and chew. Antelope, cow, or caribou. Choose your own avatar in the parasocial, an illusory kingdom where you are not prey. Interact with screen icons as if reciprocal. A light is left on in the bathroom like the buzz of your phone, lit at all hours waiting for you to visit. You turn things off to see what's inside the cinema of your mind, like a Nathaniel Dorsky film, slowed to the metabolic rhythm of your nervous system. Chew the light until digested, slow. A caribou grazes on shoots through the snow at dusk. Enzymatic thought seeps through the glow of winter's dull blue, as if muted by stained glass, a cathedral in your skull, the only screen that escapes the strangler. Parasocial interactions, PSI, a diagnosis. Love, flattened to fit in your pocket. Parallelogram of pretense, a physiology of flickers, all aflutter in your cortex where all the best flicks are, even the regurgitations. Chew that with your 4 holy stomachs. Done, says my phone when I send words away. Control yourself before you yawp. Be a caribou and carry us across the glistening silence. Wherever your fancy lets loose a little jouissance, a little elevated yawp, it gets triangulated by history. Someone is waiting to future fire us. Someone is waiting to carry us to an ice cave where we all fit, for now. Someone is trotting over ice with their large, sharp hooves, crackle grunting during the rut. Chins a waggle, they yawn. In a paratactic pause from the news and its pressures. Blocked data seeps into fields, silent as bird flu. Outside, deep veins of commerce untracked. Valves may spill over the banks of this mitral life. Submit to this draining. Heart-adjacent murmurs bypass traffic and dark forests. Any density where where you might, strangle the future on the way to the photon field. The ego project is doomed to failure, says Brenda Hillman. But what a pretty mosaic of vines laid atop what could have been you. Thank you.
Told you I'm really old, but I'm younger than that now. That's from My Back Pages, by the way, by Bob Dylan. Yeah. My pledge. The question of the pledge came up, and how I felt about taking it at Grange. I thought it over on the little town dock. Big tug on my right, bridge into mist and leafless trees on my left, a western grebe scooting across between. I pledge allegiance to that grebe, its long neck of yin and yang. I pledge allegiance also to the red-necked grebe, the horned, the eared, and the pied-billed grebes, the great-crested, the least. I pledge allegiance to the common mergansers, the red-breasted mergansers, the hooded mergansers, and the little piebald fish duck called the smew. To the scaups, greater and lesser, the mallards and pintails, canvasbacks, redheads, gadwalls and widgeons, the golden eyes, common and barrows, and the ring-necked and all the teal, green-winged, blue-winged, cinnamon, gargony, the lot. And to buffleheads, of course. Pick a duck, or cormorant, coot, auk, or loon. I pledge allegiance to them all, and for the republic for which they stand, one nation, under fog, indivisible, with liberty and habitat for all. That should do it. Are there any more questions? And that is how I take the pledge at Grange. I put my hand over my spleen. It's a shorter version. I leave out some ducks and things. And Eucharist, feeding the wildlife. There's an epigraph, Graham? Graham? Graph? Is it graph? Okay. By Robinson Jeffers. The poem is Vulture, and the epigraph is, to be eaten by that beak and become part of him, to share those wings and those eyes. What a sublime end of one's body. What an enskyment. What a word. What a life after death. Robinson Jeffers, Vulture. He's my man. Let the vultures go first. After all, it's their sole profession. And they are so good at waiting. Then give the coyotes second crack. They ate my heart when they took my cats, so they might as well have the rest. Next, the wonderful ravens. I have so much to pay them back for. Their devoted, playful couples gronking, chucking, clucking, ringing like bells over me all year long. Even with this, where was I? The crows will look after themselves. That should do it. Now, before the little folk tuck in, the carrion flies, beetles, slugs, worms, and such, gather what's left in a shopping bag. Brain pan, pelvis, maybe a funny bone. There should be enough to make some ashes, to mix with the precious ones that wait. Toss them all into the little oaken box. Bury it in my plot at the edge of the wood in the old Grange graveyard. And then let the ages eat their fill. For this is the Holy Communion. I am the host, and everyone is welcome at the table. Amen. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name's Haley Spencer. This poem is called Dolls and Other Names for Girlhood. And it's not just childhood, is it? Because some days she feels her head tied on only by a ribbon, and it's all she can do not to grab a pair of scissors. Or maybe she's a paper doll, hand in delicate hand with mirrored self, and still her fingers twitch toward the scissors. And there's this thing she doesn't have a name for, fingers scratching the skin of her thighs. She runs winter fingers through her lover's hair, carries her grief like a burning plate of food. She quits her job, and she quits another job, cutting through options like magazine pages that have stuck together. This spring, there are snails on every surface of her house. She steps on one in the kitchen, feels the crunch of it beneath her slipper, takes another one from beneath her pillow and sets it outside. When it's dark out and still hot enough to sweat, she sits alone beneath the lilac tree in the front yard. She calls it holy, but that's not what it is. October comes without a job. November comes without a job. Freezing puddles soak through socks with holes where the butterflies tore through her closets last spring. Another snail is in the bathtub. Carry it to the windowsill. Carry it through the neighborhood and knock on every door, praying for its owner to come claim it. But no answer waits behind closed doors, only a gentle clicking sound, like scissors against silk. Thank you.
The fog dissolving reveals the concrete intersect ions of house units living together now with all the crossing fingers. Mother Nature says your mirror's getting jammed up with all your friends. This here's a jam for that personality. Everything starts to blend, but you're standing on the wall like you was Poindexter this morning, leaving us for that great personality crisis on the chatterbox. Please don't stop. Lynn, bend our ears to the great below, not E.T. extraterrestrial, not metaphone home somewhere over the rainbow, but within all the earth, the body, the cell, a community of germs. What you know is trash. Go pick it up. Doctor, take them all away, our great ancestors. Too much, too soon, an angsty worm in the ear of every dispossessed, antisocial, punk-ass, pretty little creationist offspring learning to photosynthesize that non-nuclear heredity they did not even know. They did not know induced character eye sticks ain't gonna anthropomorphize ya. Let them fight that out in the Supreme Court. Stomp our hands, clap our feet while we dance this monkey time merging of selves of different histories and abilities, cellular interliving, our infiltration far more profound than human. Woo!
Ballad of the Graffiti, written on Pritchard Island, 2020. I'm praying in my mother's house, a place where I was a child and am now an older woman, living in a time of crisis that has been unraveling since the invention and deployment of napalm, and the forces of commerce that generate wind tunnels out of high-rise buildings clustered into steel and concrete canyons. The heavy underbellies of freeway overpasses wrapping around neighborhoods where dolls can still be left out on the sidewalk overnight, in a form of mythic forgetfulness that includes weather. I kneel in front of the refrigerator where she used to keep 6 half gallons of milk,
The neatly waxed cardboard towers printed with bright colors and messages, stories of the potency of vitamins and fats, stories of health, but not necessarily happiness. And she, who in my childhood used to stand in the doorway while we ran out to the street when we heard the approaching bells of the foremost milkman. She who would buy a half wheel of cheddar cheese and exchange her bottles empty for his bottles full, while we chose ice cream bars and sherbet and blinked in the approaching darkness. It was during her childhood, after the war, she was fond of telling us, when things were still thin, that butter used to be delivered wider than pig fat, and the coloring would come in a separate container. As the oldest child, it was her job to mix the two together to get the yellow butter. The war came after the Depression began. The Depression followed a period of infamous prosperity, a hilarity of excess in dancing, a decade of beaded skirts and jaunty headbands. I am praying in my mother's house, but I can't find the words yet.
I am Ann Spires, and I'm going to read from Wild Cucumber from Empty Bowl Press. The first and the last stanzas are detached. Enzo, open, closed. The flushed landscape disappears in a push of erasures, leaving an alphabet of sticks and spaces to reassemble in the slot between grayed dawn and sunset's muting of light. Rain freezes mid-drop. My gloved hand pulls the newspaper from its box, roadside. The walk back takes months of nothing. Feverfew broken in my fingers, and Scotch broom pods pop in the odd heat. Last game, my turn up at bat. From the old man's orchard, we all steal apples. Maggots thread the flesh with brown silk. White buckets wait at the fence. Shadow elbows sun. Strapped in her gurney, Cassiopeia is left on stage, a fistful of stars smudged in the smoke of a hard day's night. The West is on fire. Our last swim through herds of jellyfish. Moons they are, their gonads thickening orange, bumping us, their glisten sliding over and under. We burn fists of soft rush, mix ash and water for ink. Our letters ascend and descend. The letter O slows our progress, perhaps a circle closed or open if we lift the brush, relenting.
Hi everyone, I'm Rob Lewis. There's a poem about Alki, the whale, not the beach. Alki assumes the lantern. The water this morning feels tired, feels afraid. A rising tide of endings creeps to its margins as she holds aloft in air into sight of clouds, then stars, bearing as though duty, as sacred procession, another lost tomorrow, her own dead baby girl whale. A whale mother within a sea, bearing a stillbirth female, is a grieving of wombs. When they were meant to roll together in columns of light, to race under the waves like shadows pearled with snow. Alki, your eyes see her just before you. Your eyes see past her to an orchilous sea. Your mind comprehends. Your body pushes the evidence.
I'm Brenda. I shoplifted a poem to read for you. Thank you for your beautiful work. Near Jenner. I asked the mind for a shape, and shape meant nothing. I asked the soul for help, and some help came. Some wedding band gold came around the edges of a sunset, and I knew my bride could see forward behind it. And all the women I had known came back from their positions where they had been hanging the silk laundry of heaven upside down by the elastic. They'd help me find her, though they looked slightly faded from being dead, as the first wildflowers here, radish and the ones they call milkmaids, look faded when they appear on the shoulders of the Pacific.
What's good, everybody? My name is Enrico Favela. This is called Wound.
Raise the mic.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Appreciate you.
That should be close enough.
I bleed. I bleed because I must. I bleed because my heart cannot refuse the call to pump. Even if its mother tongue no longer reminds it of home, despite its swelling at the evening gusts, no matter the size of the wound, I will bleed. My cells rejoice at the opportunity to hold sharp edges accountable. I will stain hands and psyches, seep into the earth and stain cloth and spread out in all directions. I will spill outward if internally exposed. The breaking of my flesh cannot stand the thought of anonymity. My blood will leave its mark on you. There will be a record of my existence in this world, even if it is written in my absence. Even if I am only known reflexively by the detectives, the blood spatter analysts, the experienced and the concerned. The complexity of my atria and ventricles does not understand peaceful resolutions or compromised objectives. The currents of my veins forever rush without regard for the shores of my soul. I bleed not because of pain, but because of love. Why doesn't my body just give up? My blood is too infatuated in love, running, jumping, flowing with life. It bursts from me at the slightest opportunity to greet you all. My skin is a levee behind which sits the force to carve mountains, make light bulbs shine with bright ideas, leave cups spilling over. I bleed because it is the medium from which I can make them see art flows through me, from me, of me. I bleed because it is the only option I have left.
What can I say to a perfect group of readers? It went so swiftly. And now I would like to ask you to please everyone, including you, Brenda Cárdenas, yes, all the poets in the room, come up here so we can take a picture. I always forget to take pictures of the group. So let's get a group picture, and after that, you're all gonna help us clean up. Let's give a hand again to all the poets. Thank you.